Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for coming down. I'm Mark Minichevich from Partners Life, but about 6 or 7 or 8 years ago, I sat in the desk next to Derek while he was spending a lot of time on secondment with MB when the Financial Advisors Act was under review. And I think a really interesting time, given that this new regime really kicks off in a few days. It'd be nice to get reflections from the three of you of your journey from that time, from the FAA review through to now. And Derek, because you were involved so early in the piece, I'll start with you if I can.
Thank you, Mark. You're right. What a treat sitting next to me at the FMA. There are so many people in this room that would have loved that opportunity. But Richard's right. You know, we really are on the cusp of a major milestone later this week where we'll say goodbye to the competency safe harbour and we're going to welcome in this new era where everybody is operating under a full licence. And it seems to me that we should not let that date pass us by, not without at least acknowledging all of the hard work of all of the people in this room and around the country that have got us there and all the successes along the way. And it seems to me that it's all of that hard work and it's all of those successes that are giving you the momentum to carry you forward. And we think about the future, I think that's one place for us to look, is at all the hard work and all those successes. And I guess, Mark, as a reflection, and you're right, I was working alongside MB in those early days of the review. I can remember having consultations in rooms like this where it'd be full of AFAs, and then later we'll be doing another session for RFAs because they had to be different. And I remember people worrying, you know, is an RFA slipped into an AFA meeting and that's not good? And I'm not sure if people were even serious. But back then, I think the sector was much more defined by what it separated and the differences. But my word, doesn't it feel different today? You've got shared language, shared goals. I see a sense of unity, re-energisation, and it feels so much different. And I can really sense that all of that renewal and all of that energy in the last few years has gone into the licensing push. And I know that advisors really just want to do absolute best they can by clients. It's sort of the motivating driver. And I think that many saw licensing as just another way of thinking about that goal, Mark, as another way of achieving that end. And it was brilliant to see. And I know that as the FMA starts to talk more about being an outcomes-based regulator, I find myself wanting to ask that question, what makes it possible for there to be outcomes or good outcomes? And then again, it strikes me, and I think about my experience with the sector, the one thing that is foundational to all of that is client relationships. Isn't that the one thing that you're so good at? It's your strength, is the relationships. And so I think that's something worth reflecting on. It's the relationships that matter so much in going forward. So I think that was probably the sort of the main things. And I just wanted to reflect on those relationships in particular, is that how much they are going to make a difference if you can extend that model. You know, I have my own financial advisor, and the extent that the advisor is able to draw out of me my life experience and my knowledge and weave it into the advice process in a way that gives me a sense of agency and a sense of empowerment is not something I necessarily experience in any other part of my life dealing with any other professional. And to me it seems to be a model par excellence. And if you can extend that relationship model to incorporate providers, incorporate the regulator, particularly when there's going to be in the future, as there always will be, these moments of tension, I think that's going to help set you up for even more success. And then I think about just recently, I know someone who took their own life and it was very sad, and it struck me again the importance of the value of relationships in our lives, but also the value not only of that, but the strategies and the products that you put in place for clients. It might just make the difference in someone's life when they feel so incredibly overwhelmed. In fact, it may even save a life, what you do. And so I just wanted to say, in all my years with the sector, thank you for what you do. Like I would say, I think it makes a huge difference. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Derek. Now, Anita, we were at the FMA at the same time as well. So you've been in this process right the way through, and you've been running this whole licensing process through to today. So what are your reflections on both the process so far and also where we are with a few days to go and a few businesses that may not have made it through the gate?
Thank you, Mark. Probably just want to pick up on something that our minister said earlier, which really resonated with me, because he said he feels privileged to be in his position. And yes, I've been at FMA a long time. I've been there 11 years and I've been on this journey for most of that. But that resonated with me because I feel very privileged to have been on this journey, to have met some amazing people in this room and other venues and other events, to have worked with providers, industry bodies, representatives, advisors. Every single person that we've met on this journey has made this journey special and interesting. And yes, with just a few days left to go, I think we've been waiting for the 16th, 17th of March. It seems like forever, but we're nearly there. As at today's date, it's pretty much 2,500 people licensed, and that's including authorised bodies. Absolutely wrapped with the uptake and the involvement and the engagement from the industry. Back from the early days, I remember saying last week to someone, one of our first speaking engagements was at North Harbour in Auckland, and I can remember someone railing at me because they had to pay for their car park, and I was like, is this what it's going to be like for the next however many years? And being really nervous about talking to people and being unsure of how people were going to take our message and engage with us, to today where I'm not nervous, I'm happy to take any questions and talk to anyone, and I hope that what we've produced or helped you engage with will make a big difference to your businesses. We introduced a whole new way of doing things for the FMA. It's online, it's a much, hopefully, easier approach. We're looking at that for other forms of licensing and for reg returns. So what we deliver will look similar across everything we do. And probably my last couple of insights are, it might have seemed that we asked you to do a lot and asked you to confirm about processes and policies and procedures. But I'd put it to you that if you use those and continually modify and monitor them, that will put you in a really great position going forward. It'll also assist you when there's reg returns. It'll take out, hopefully, the pressure and the stress that's sometimes associated with delivering numbers to the FMA. So I'd just like to think going forward that we have helped you, and you most certainly have helped us. And that's not just words, that absolutely is from my heart, that it's been such a pleasure.
Cool, thanks, Anita. The conversations I often have with advisors are very much along the lines of what you were just saying, where I encourage advice businesses not to think about the licensing obligations and the ongoing obligations as things that the FMA are doing to you, but more good business practice that the FMA is laying out for you and saying, these are some things that we expect from you because it's the right thing to do to run a strong business. Now, Michael, you're a little bit late at the game, but you've been at the FMA now, 5 years or something? And so you've been involved in a lot of this transition as well, and you're now in the stage where you and your team are monitoring and supervising. So can you give us a few reflections from your time at the FMA, and also maybe stepping forward as to what you're seeing now when you're monitoring businesses? Where are the strengths and where are the weaknesses?
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks, Mark, and kia ora koutou, everyone. We're actively monitoring our licensed population at the moment, and I guess there's probably a couple of things that I would go through and call out from an observational perspective. Firstly, it's always the old red herring. It's record keeping. And I think as Dr. Webb, did talk about in his speech, it's that narrative, and that narrative is absolutely key. So it's an encouragement to everyone everyone. If you haven't already, please have a look at a lot of our guidance we've issued on our website. It sets out quite clearly what our expectations are. And with record keeping, when we arrive, we like to actually understand the conversation and the journey that you've taken your clients through, and it's absolutely critical. Look, our requirements are in no way onerous. We don't go through and dictate what system or what process you need to use. What we say is we just simply need to actually understand, and importantly, your clients need to understand as well. So if you haven't done so, please have a look at the guidance. We spend a lot of time publishing guidance. It's there to go through and assist the market. It's there designed to make sure that it's of use to you and clients. Mark, probably the second one that I'd pick out. Gosh, I got a dentist's appointment on Saturday, and it's just going to give me cold sweats with that drilling. It's second one is cyber. Hey, look, it's one of the biggest risks that we face at the moment. So with standard condition number 5 with your BCPs, please make sure that you're focusing on your cyber resilience. It's critical not only for you, but also for your clients. It's just certainly not good enough to go through and have your passwords as password 123. We see that far too often. If you haven't done so already, sign up to the CERT alerts. CERT is a government agency that goes through and publishes and calls out where there are certain areas of cyber crime, etc. So please make sure you subscribe to those alerts. Very, very useful and valuable. Thanks, Mark.
Cool. Thank you, Michael. Just a quick question. Is anyone else hearing the dentist drilling? You are? So do we need to speak up a bit? Can you hear us down the back? Or it's a bit insane that we're getting that sound while we're here. Now, we are moving into the new world with the rigs everything coming to force in a few days' time, but we've also got, as you know, the COFI legislation in place, and you've just released your incentives guidance. Sorry, you're in intermediate.
No, Mark, we haven't. No.
Sorry, your intermediaries guidance, and we have the incentives regulations that are still kind of in draft mode. So, you know, the intermediary space you've got a lot more depth on. Can we have your thoughts and reflections on the intermediaries guidance, and if you've got any thoughts on incentives while we're at it, then please throw those in.
I mean, very much like COFI or FSLA, we've tried to engage quite strongly with COFI. Last year we ran a series of workshops across the sectors with not only industry and advisors to contribute to this piece of guidance. Look, with anything and regardless of what side of the political spectrum that you are on, we go through a process. The intermediated distribution guidance is out for consultation at the moment. It's a long consultation period, so please have your say. We go through and review, we analyse, and anyone who's ever been through consultation before will actually see that we do listen, we do make substantive change where it is absolutely required. So again, please read it, please have your say, it's absolutely critical. More recently, we've released the final question set for your regulatory returns as well under FSLA. We will be running workshops to go through and explain how these operate. But one thing that I would say to everyone, the takeaway today is you don't need to be perfect in your returns. It's the first year. We're 100% aware that this is an iterative process, and as always, we're here to help. If you've got questions, please drop us an email. Please ring us. We're very, very approachable and here to support.
I would say, going on from that, we have got 3 months before that reg return year begins. So now's the time to read through it and find out what data are required to be collected, so you can start collecting it now and be ready for the 1st of July year, rather than coming through to the 30th of June 2024 and thinking, oh, what data do they want? Oh shit, I don't have it. So do start thinking about that now. Can I pass that question on about intermediaries? What the impact of the intermediary stuff on the financial advice providers in the room here, and how they should get involved? You've mentioned, Michael, that the people in the room here should read it and be involved in the consultation. What is the impact of that going to be on financial advice providers? Kind of thoughts, maybe Derek, would you step in here?
I think all I can do is reiterate what Mark has said, but an important part of that is I'm hearing a lot of good feedback about the intermediary consultation. If you like it, then tell us that as well. That's important as well as the issues there. There are some things in that guide, I think, that make things very crystal clear and feels like it's really responded to the concerns that I've been hearing from within the sector. So you look to the things where we're not expecting to see. I think most people have told me that they found that to be incredibly reassuring, and I think that's right.
And look at with anything with Sydney, with our guidance and the way that we operate as with an outcomes-based focused regulator, you will see that our requirements aren't prescriptive. If you've moved through the latest disclosure regime, it's principles based, and as with this guidance and our expectations are very much principles based, and essentially what we've done is we've turned this back to industry to say, you set the benchmark, you set the standard, right? We're not telling you what to do. We've got some North Star guidance, we expect a travel in a certain way, but you set the rules, and and I think that's a really good balance between the market and the regulator.
It's always been the way, right? The FMA has never been out there telling you how to run your business, just giving you the swimming lanes to stay within.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. If there are any questions from the floor, remember there's this Slido number up on the board there. I'm watching to see whether anything's coming in, but if there's no questions from the floor, I'll keep making stuff up myself and hope that that's valuable to you. Anita, was there anything through the licensing process that you discovered about the population, the financial advice provider population, that you thought maybe you could share with the group to give them some tips about where to go from here?
Well, I think the biggest thing we found was that everybody's different, and that's why we designed our licence application like we did. Every business is different, and as we've said for a very long time, you are the people that know your business, not us. We ask the questions, and you tell us about yourself is the most important thing. Probably the other thing, which I have been heard to say quite a bit, the 17th of March is just a point in time. Life will carry on the day after. Your businesses will carry on, and they will carry on in the great way that you're running them now. And all I can say to you is carry on doing it that way, looking after your customers, ensuring there's good outcomes for your clients, and just carry on, because we do tend to, we've quoted this date so often, and we've had transitional, and then we woke up the next day and hello, we were all still here, and now we're going to wake up on the 17th of March and it's going to be fine, and you're going to carry on doing such a great job that's all we can encourage you to do. So I guess those are my two biggest insights.
Can I say something? I'll say something that Anita wouldn't say to you, but at most conferences I go to these days, most people push and shove past me to get to Anita to shake her hand and say thank you very much for the help that you gave me. There's only been three,
Derek. There's only been three. That's not most.
Yeah, they're all related. So
yeah, they all know each other. Yeah, and I paid them. But just to say thank you, because, really the licensing team helped so many people, almost hand in hand, didn't they, to sort of help people get through the licensing process. And I think they really deepened relationships. For many people, it was the first time that they've had a lot to do with the FMA. And I'm glad to be able to say that their experience has been very, very good. So thank you to Anita and your team.
Well, I know that within my team, when we started this journey, most of my team were in the office, didn't go out, and now they're out all the time. They're subject matter experts on licensing and on a lot of the content of a licensing application. I've got one of my guys in the room here, Chris, who's my manager in my licensing team. And going back 4.5 years ago, Chris hadn't gone out and done any public speaking. Now he just rolls with it. He's just like, because he knows what he's talking about. And I think that's one of the things that I'm very proud of my team, that they absolutely know their stuff. And to Derek's point about people saying nice things about us, I've had people come up and actually name people in my team by name who I would never have thought a few years ago that people would have known, but they've come up and said thank you. A big thank you to Linda, because she helped me through this, and she answered me in simple language and told me I was going to say told me where to go, but no, that's not what she did. But, gave guidance and advice and was always there. The same with my team in Wellington, who, they get mentioned frequently. And I think that's a testament to the fact of that it's a younger FMA, and those guys are going to be the face of FMA going forwards, and I think that's very important as well. So thank you, Derek, for telling those 3 people to come and speak to me.
That's all right. Anytime.
Noted.
We are starting to get questions come through just as our time's running out, unfortunately. One thing that I think it's really important to note, though, is that the obligations that you've signed up to are ongoing. So do make sure you continue to meet those ongoing requirements and your standard conditions. So make sure you're all on top of those. In the last few seconds, can I just ask each of you to reflect on where you would like to see the industry? What's your vision for where the sector is going to be in 2034?
I'd like to see the sector to continue to adapt in the way that it has so far. I mean, it's an incredible journey to see people grapple with these new regulatory concepts and the licensing concepts to make good decisions, to potentially think about the structure of their businesses and adopt new structures where that made sense, to get ready and do all that hard work and to apply for your licence application. It's been a tremendous journey, but it's also been a journey of you adapting. And I want to see you continue to do that, continue to adapt. Adapt simply means to adjust to new circumstances. And so keep doing that. I think it's been absolutely amazing.
Look, and for me, as the bill was introduced all those years ago, it's quality advice for more New Zealanders. We'll just continue doing that, and the FMA will be here to continue to support you and your businesses.
Same here, really. I guess FMA is not going anywhere. We'll still be here and we're still available to help. And to Derek's point, absolutely, I think the change that the industry has gone through is a great testament to your adaptability and strength. And, as they say, there's nothing surer in life than change, and who knows what the next thing will be, but you've shown that you've got the fortitude and adaptability, and I think that's something to be very, very, very proud of.
But I think in 2034 you'll be reflecting on that from a beach in France, is that right?
Absolutely. If I'm not, there's going to be a problem.
There are some questions that came through at the end there that I haven't had time to ask, but the team are going to be here through the day, right? So please come up and ask your questions and have a conversation with them. But for now, could you please just join me in thanking them for sharing the time on the stage?